I'm Bethany.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is Looking for the Middle,
the Christian Girl's Guide to Modern Dating.
We are here with another episode of CouchCast. What, our fourth one?
I think so.
And in case you haven't heard the others, CouchCast is basically a mini episode where we literally pick a topic out of a bowl and talk about it. Most of them are questions we've gotten from you guys or from our friends, and we literally have no notes, no prep. We're going to draw one out of the bowl here and see what happens.
Can I do the honors
Okay, ready?
this time? Yes.
Pick it. Okay, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about, great question. Does the guy have to be a quote-unquote stronger Christian to lead well in a relationship?
That's a really good question.
That's a fantastic question. Whoever sent that in, props to you.
Yeah. Okay, so I think there's a couple of things just in reading that we ought to talk about first. Mm-hmm. One, what does stronger mean?
Definitions
and then
are important.
What does leading mean in that context too?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, does he need to be a stronger Christian? Are you talking about, does he know more stuff about the Bible? Just from a knowledge standpoint?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about he's further along, he's been a Christian longer, and so he's further along in that process?
Yeah.
Or I don't think he has to be stronger in the standpoint of he knows more stuff.
Yeah.
Does he need to be a strong Christian? Yes.
That's a great way to say it.
I think one of the key things there is, too, does he balance maybe some of your weaknesses? Is he strong in areas that you aren't?
That's a good way to look at it.
I think that's more important.
Yeah.
Because if you've got two people who are really weak in patience or
generosity
or something like that, where they both really struggle with that. I'm not saying it can't work.
No, it's just going to make things a little more difficult.
It would probably be better if you complement each other in those things to make a relationship work well. I don't think he has to be stronger in the sense of he knows more or he's been a Christian longer. I think it comes down to, is he truly pursuing Christ on a day-to-day basis, unprompted from others?
Yes, I think that's a good point. That's something that I personally look for is he growing?
Yeah.
Is he making an effort to grow? You know, is he, not that it's a list to check off, but like, is he wanting to be involved in his church? Does he have a desire to, spend time, with the Lord, in the Word?
Yeah.
Is he in community? Does he have a mentor? Like, is he actively seeking different ways to grow and mature in his faith? And I think one of the things for me personally, and I know you probably feel the same way, both our dads are very strong in their faith. And so I've had that example growing up. And
yeah, I'm glad.
And so, and this is something that Melanie, Bethany's sister, if you don't know who that is, who's my best friend, we talked about this a lot, where you see the strength and wisdom that your dad has, and that becomes your expectation.
Yes.
But like, your dad's 20, 30 years older than the guy you're dating.
I was really glad you brought that up, because I think that's something anytime I'm getting to know a guy or we're dating or whatever, I have to make myself say, okay, I can't expect the maturity of a 50, 60-year-old out of this guy who's 20s, 30s. That would be unrealistic. That's not fair to them.
No,
and it's also, it's not fair to you, because that will just give you all kinds of angst and frustration and whatever.
It will. And he's never going to get to a point where he's perfectly Christian. I don't know how to say that.
You can't expect him to be perfect.
No, but if he's constantly making the moves to grow, that's what I'm personally looking for. And I think that leadership is going to just flow from that.
Yes.
But I think another thing to point out is, and whoever asked this question didn't really specify whether like you meant lead well in marriage or in dating. Like, it's not
there's a difference.
There is a difference. And you can see potential for a guy to be able to lead you well while you're dating, but it's not his responsibility to lead you while you're dating.
Yeah.
He is supposed to lead you in your marriage when you're married.
Right.
For sure. But when you're dating, like, you're accountable to your Heavenly Father, and that's where you're getting your leadership from. And, you're still accountable to God first and foremost, even when you are married. But that's not on him while you're dating.
No, and like you said, you're getting your leadership from the Lord, as in you're following His word. So if there's going to be a certain amount of leadership shift to an extent, as in, no, you're not going to quit having that once you're married. No. But your husband will be in that role.
Well, and you have someone else
in
to
your
submit
life.
To.
And so if he's not, while you're dating, pursuing those same things you are, is being in the Word and having a commitment to obeying the Lord and His Word, submitting to His leadership, or seeing His leadership as a good thing when you're married will be very difficult because you're pursuing different things.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I almost think looking for those things while you're dating, is he pursuing obedience to the Lord and His Word? Is he sensitive to the conviction of the Holy Spirit? Is he broken over his sin? Is he repentant and turning from those things?
That's a big one.
That's almost more important to me than, is he a stereotypical male leader?
Yeah. But I think one really important characteristic of leaders is that they're teachable and they've got humility.
100%.
And so if those are things that you're able to see in him, I think that speaks a lot to the way that he could potentially lead you.
Yeah, it speaks to a lot of things that aren't necessarily just about his walk with the Lord. It tells me he can make a commitment. He's committed to following the Lord. He is faithful in doing that. So can you see him being faithful in making a commitment to you long term? That translates in that way too. So I think that's important as you're evaluating the guy you want to date, the guy you are dating, the guys you've dated in the past even, is there a shortfall there and that's why you're not together anymore, and you can learn from those things. But do I think he has to be stronger from the standpoint of he knows more? I don't know. No.
I don't think so.
I think if he's a brand new Christian, you need to be careful. I'm not saying don't date him. I'm saying be careful because all of those things we talked about haven't had time to develop into a pattern. I'm not saying they won't. Yeah. I'm just saying give it more time because you need to see that consistency in his life. That would be my one caution, I think.
Yeah.
Is if he's a brand new baby Christian and there's not a pattern there, that's where you need to give it some time and give it some thought. Definitely. But just because you've been a Christian longer doesn't automatically eliminate him. Just because you have done an in-depth Bible study on this many books and he only has on those, or you know more about this topic than he does. I think that's getting into a nitpicky and we're placing our expectations onto it.
Well, and it's putting it based on your works, and that's not what our faith is. I mean,
true.
It's faith first and foremost. And kind of going back to what you said, I agree that you don't necessarily have to be a Christian for less amount of time, or it doesn't matter long. Again, I would caution with the brand new Christian thing and kind of feel that out. But I mean, I know people who have become Christians in the last 5 years that are super strong in their faith, and I know people who have been Christians for 20 years who are lukewarm. So I think time can have something to do with it, but doesn't mean it has to.
Right.
And so I wouldn't let that discourage you if you'd be like, oh, well, I got saved when I was 5 and he was 7 and we're the same age. Like, no. That's not a big deal. But I think, again, you're looking for that desire to grow and mature in his walk with the Lord.
And is he acting on that? Is there more than just the talk of it?
Yeah.
Is he walking that out?
Yeah.
Is important. But then when it comes to leading well, like the question said, I think we have to be careful of getting this ideal or this perfect thing in your head of, okay, once I get married, my husband's going to lead me in devotions every morning, and then once we have kids, he's going to do that every morning, and we're going to have this amount of time praying in the morning and the evening, and that's what leading looks like. Can leading look like that?
Yeah.
Sure.
But it doesn't have to.
But there's nothing saying it has to look this exact certain way. And so if you build this up in your head and then are disappointed when the guy you're dating doesn't live up to that, when it's not something that's commanded necessarily, like this certain specific thing, then it's not that he's not leading well. You're just very narrow in what you're looking for. If that's important to you, and it kind of goes back to, we were talking about the strengths and weaknesses. If being in the Word and being disciplined and doing that for yourself is something that you're weak in, it probably wouldn't be a good idea if the guy you're dating is really weak in that as well. Because then you're going to have two people who really struggle to be in the Word. It would be good if he was strong in that. And so your life may look like you do that every morning. But it doesn't have to. When you tip from preference to requirement, you just have to be careful, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think leadership in a relationship can look a lot of different ways. It can look like accountability, it can look like encouragement, it can look like listening. You know, there are so many different things that portray leading well.
Yeah.
And I don't think it always has to be this super dominant, vocal, scheduled,
No.
disciplined thing. While those can be characteristics of it,
It doesn't have
it
to
doesn't
be
have
that way.
to be.
Yeah. No, I think
and
that's
I
true.
know from talking to my married friends that I have a couple of them that they do, you know, even when they were dating, they would like talk about their quiet times together and all this stuff, and then they got married and they would do devotions together. But it was like there were days when he either forgot or he woke up late or something, and she told me, she's like, I kind of got frustrated, and I'm like, he just had a rough day, or maybe, you know, it's like he's going through something right now. So then how can you, as his wife, encourage him, figure out what's going on, you know, give him some grace, and then be like, hey, I know we missed it this morning. Can we do that tonight?
Yeah.
And then, sure, great. Like, it's not, you're not putting your relationship with God in his hands.
It's not a failure of leadership. It's
No.
life happens.
No. So I think that's something important to remember. But
I think that's a good point.
all of that to say, the answer to the question is no.
No.
Does a guy have to be stronger in his faith to lead well? I don't necessarily
I don't think so.
But I think, again, it's
Should be
we
strong.
defined stronger, yes, and strong and leading and all of those things. But yes, he should be strong. He should show some
There should be growth.
growth and potential,
Yes.
and a pattern moving upward,
Yes.
even if it's a little jagged along the way.
And it will be.
It will be.
Yeah, I
No
think
one
that's
just moves in a straight line
Exactly.
going up. So I think that would be my biggest encouragement, is to just look for that.
I agree.
Okay.
Perfect.
Another one in the book.
There we go. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We're really glad you're here. We enjoy doing this. It's really fun.
Yes.
So if you guys have a question or something you want us to talk about, send us an email, find us on social media, and
We're always
shoot us
taking suggestions.
a message. We would love to, talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. So do that. We will be back in the next, week when some inspiration strikes. And we will see you then. But until then, I'm Bethany.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is Looking for the Middle.